Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you are out there and on the sunny side of life. Now, one place that I miss very much is the rural area. And the simple reason is that the atmosphere there, the air breathes fresher, food is fresh vegetables, fruits, fish, not frozen fish, no frozen chicken. And sometimes I ask myself, really, what am I doing in the city? All the tension, all the traffic jam, and all the noise pollution and so on. And I really wonder, and I miss the rural area very much. Now, talking about comparison of life in the rural area and in the urban center brings to mind the story of this professor who lived in the university, a high-rise apartment. He loved his pounded yam very much. And you know what happened all the time? They kept pounding the yam. His neighbors got very irritated and agitated, and they complained to the university authority. And he was called and cautioned. Said, Prof, you have to choose between your pounded yam and living in this place, because one is causing a lot of cracks in the building and getting your co-tenants very irritable. But you say this is the kind of a dilemma that you have to face when you live in the urban area. Now, the professor, of course, was very upset. But where could he go to? He wanted to eat his pounded yam, but he also wanted to live in the apartment. So he had this dilemma. Now, comparing also life in the city and in the urban area reminds me of this well-to-do Nigerian who visited a friend of his in the United States. And the day he got there, he was warmly received, but his host observed that he was not quite comfortable. You know, every time he kept tiptoeing to the window. He'll open the window, look outside, and then come back and sit down. And he kept doing this, and his host was worried. This continued throughout the night. He kept going up, and his host would hear him, tiptoeing, and so on. So in the night, daybreak, he confessed to his host that, oh, look, quite honestly, you must have seen me very worried and agitated, because I was remembering my car back home. He just bought a brand new car, and he thought that thieves might come and take it away. So even though he was in the United States, he kept having the siege mentality that you have when you stay in the urban area. Some people, you go to their houses, they have tall fences just to keep out mischief makers, and keep away armed robbers and so on. Now, it's quite hard living in the city. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to our topic for today, which is rural migration.
That is easily identified with developing countries is the moving of people, actually a mass movement of people from the rural areas to the cities. This migration has a devastating effect both socially and economically on the society and the country in general. And the manifestations of this is already evident in the country at the moment. Here in this forum today, we are going to examine the factors responsible for this mass exodus, and of course look into ways and means of combating the problem. And to discuss this, as usual, we have Obwefio Kafo, Chief Shotayo, and Alhaji Baba. You're all welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Obwefio, please, would you start?
It's a socio-psychological phenomenon whereby there is a mass movement or exodus of people from the rural to the urban areas. Is called rural migration. Now, in the Nigerian context, I would like to say here that the exodus has gravitated into a national calamity that has catapulted the nation into a state of social disequilibrium. Now, certain factors culminate to this exodus. One of such factors is the concentration of infrastructure and amenities in the urban cities. such infrastructure and amenities would include roads, good roads, healthcare delivery system, good healthcare delivery system, and pipe-borne water, electricity, and so on. And the other factor, which is very cogent, is neglect of agriculture. Agriculture, which is the mainstay of the rural areas, has been neglected. And consequently, people who hitherto would be involved in agriculture now drift into the cities.
Thank you very much, Ogefi. This observation about agriculture, I think, is very important when we are examining the problem of this rural migration to the city. But I think that one problem, which is as the root cause of the whole thing, is the kind of education we receive from our colonial masters. It is not so much that the education is wrong, but our understanding and interpretation of the education we receive. I give you an example. Because we're thinking that the white man, who is official, government official, he lives in the city, he lives in the GRA. The tendency is to believe that the people in the rural area, they are living in the bush. So all the development is around the white man area. This kind of this situation has created the mentality where the people in the city, they look down on the people in the village. So in order that people in the village too should be able to raise themselves higher and be with it, they also come to the city. You have this mass movement. The other problem is that look at our educated people, the town planners and the architects. When they look at the white man city, they want to develop within a few years like white man city. So they begin to build all this building, they call it skyscraper. You see? When they are building skyscraper, you have this slum and shanty around, and somebody is building skyscraper. Is that not ridiculous? Look at all our villages. If we cut all these skyscraper and reduce them to bungalow, we can build many bungalows in the village. So these are part of the problem. The other point, when I look at this big building, I think that our architects, they did not learn from the rural rabbit. The village, the rabbit you have inside the village, they have a sense of architecture because they put so many holes inside his own house. So if there is a fire, it can escape. But this is our skyscraper. When the thing catch fire, many people are going to die inside because they don't know how to. This is one of the major factors because other people too, they want to see the beautiful thing in the city. The other problem I want to talk about, this thing you're talking about agriculture, remind me of this point. This is agricultural board. I think it's a colonial reality. The system of affiliation as a money is still an agent of colonial mentality because the board is a fixing operation that is not realistic. You see? The operation system of the board is not realistic. So it discourages people who ought to be farmers. They just lose interest in the thing because the board buy all this thing at a ridiculous low price. They might want to buy so many things. The farmer cannot get this thing because the buying power is not commensurate with the amount of effort it's putting inside the farm. So this is a very serious matter. And let me tell you the danger about it. One thing that is happening even at this moment as I'm talking is that the people who are benefiting are these people hoarders and smugglers. In fact, right now as I'm talking, some people are going to the village, buying all the grain, buying up all the grain and holding the thing. So that a few months from now, you are going to find there are going to be scarcity. People are going to make money out of other people's work. Right. If we are going to have this agricultural board, it's going to be different in manner of operation from what they have at the moment. So this is discouraging a lot of people from the village. So they are all coming into the city. And this is causing urban, this rural migration to urban area.
Thank you, Jare Alaji. You see, I'm really pleased. You may not believe it that some parents even use farming as a punitive measure to to threaten their children that if they fail to study and understand their books very well, they will remain a perpetual farmer. And there, if they remain as a perpetual farmer, they will be unable to go and work as a hackaway in the township. I mean, as a clerk. You see? Then, as a perpetual farmer, they will then start to call them a Haraoko, Abedolala. You see? They call them bushmen because they are farmers. You see? And another factor, which I know that has been causing a rural drift, is this fear of dangerous charms used by the villagers and witchcraft. Because some strong people in the village use charms and witchcraft to scare away people, some other good farmers who could have developed the land. They scare them away, and then they drift to the cities.
Okay.
I think that, and you didn't end there. Another thing, you will realize that people in the cities don't even bother about shams and all. Instead of thinking of shams, they think of making money and think less of shams. Another thing, Alaji and Wefi, is this land tenure and inheritance system, which I know that has reduced the farmland into uneconomical size in this country. Take for instance, a father of a family, that is father of a house, with so many children. When you die, of course, your land will be divided to as many children as you have, in bits. Are you back? Yes. Is that correct? It will. And then, when your children have their own children too, they will surely divide their own lands into so many places. By God will, the land has become useless completely. You cannot farm on it. And when you think of farming on a very small land, and it will not do anything good, you start thinking of the urban area, city right away. You start going to the city.
Gentlemen, I think also, Chief, I agree with you entirely. The other factors responsible for rural migration, I would say, is ecological disruption. Now, by this I mean the whole process of destabilizing the rivers where, the algae and the plankton, which is the food that the fish eat. When there is oil spillage and all this, then the fish will automatically kaput. The other thing is, it's also this mining. When they have a mining and the land excavation, when the land is excavated and it's laid bare, then of course the families, the farmers, do not have adequate farmland to cultivate crops. The result is that there is whole disruption. Unfortunately, there is no concerted and directional effort to ameliorate this problem.
So I think this is a very serious problem, but I think the problem you have limited. This ecologically destabilization is a man-made problem. But sometimes want to think of it. There are some other problems which are not they are not self-inflicted, but they are still problems. We have this natural disasters. Like sometimes you have this changing of weather. You have drought. When drought is staying for a long time in our village, you have this harmattan, no go away. It's staying in one village. Rain is not coming. You have that everything is desiccated. It's very dry. So it can force farmers to leave their farmland and come to the city area where people are not farming and everybody is still living and enjoying. So this is one problem. The other in case of natural disaster I think of is that it's the opposite of drought. It's called flood. When this you have rivers and the areas of this riverine area where you begin to have rain, it's pumping water and it's not stopping. It's going to flood the agricultural land. So again, people cannot farm. They live on their farmland. Even the fishes, they are very deep inside the water. You can't catch them with hook. So again, this is a case of a factor that brings about a migration from the rural to the urban area. The other factor which I can think about is this this is gully erosion. Gully erosion. The kind that is happening in the some part of the eastern part of the country, when erosion is tearing away the land, so that not only it destroys settlement, but it also destroys agricultural farmland. These are the kind of natural disaster. In order to advance the country, people are always planning and preparing for natural disaster. You have this relief fund moving specially equipment to help people, but we have not yet developed into that area. I think these are the kind of things we have to be thinking about.
Thank you, Alaji. I think there's another factor, and that is oil boom. I remember in the 70s, when we used to have oil boom. You see, we have money, plenty to spend, to lavish anyhow. We use money in buildings, skyscrapers, overhead bridges, that's the flyovers, here and there, trunk and the express roads, here and there. Okay, what will the villager do? A farmer in the village, when he knows that his colleagues in the city is making money, and he's seeing the money being spent, being used and lavish here and there, okay, he leaves his farming job and straight to the village, to the urban area, okay, to have his own cut of the action. Tori, it is very important. That is true. In fact, you can see a villager who is supposed to be busy tilling the soil, planting and harvesting. He leaves farming to come and join them in trading, middlemanship, forwarding and backwarding. Tori, the one that he could not forward to the owner, for sure he will backward it into his pocket.
I think that quite frankly, we must say emphatically that something ought to be drastically and with alacrity to be done to ameliorate the situation. There should be concerted and directional effort to provide infrastructure and amenities commensurate, both in the rural area, not only to neglect the rural areas, they should be provided. The other factor is socio and also psychological problems. When people migrate to urban areas, we have these nuclear families, which aggravates. Because they do not interact with the community. There is no proper monitoring, and the crime rate therefore expands. So we say that when these facilities are infrastructure adequate are provided in the rural areas, it will then cause our people to stay in their socio-cultural milieu without necessarily migrating into an area that is despicable and psychologically devastating.
Thank you. I think, in my own opinion, if we sit down here until the following day, we will still be thinking about the problem and suggestion. But let me just say the following very quickly because we are pressed for time. Number one, I will suggest is this, that government should legislate against this building of skyscrapers. Any building that is above 3 stories in any state, there must be evidence that there is no more land to build. Only when there's evidence that there's no more land to build, you begin to build more houses against one another, on top of one another. That's number one. Number two is that, in fact, that is the most serious happening. We should return back to agriculture. Because we have been behaving like a prodigal having a son. We grew from agriculture because we saw oil money. We went all over the world buying everything and developing small area, forgetting that 80% of our population are living in the rural area where we have our grandfather and great-grandfather. So what I want to say is we must return to agriculture in the rural area. There should be rural development, not on paper, not in theory, but in practice. The The third point I want to make is that this agriculture board is either the securaf, the board, or they change the function of the board to be monitoring, to be countering against holding and the profiteering, but not to make the board a hindrance to farming. The board should be made to leave a branch of goods alone so that they can find their level both internally and internationally. The other final point I want to make is that when you are planning for people in the rural area, you don't sit down inside the GRE as an air conditioner. People in the rural area should be involved. They should be brought into the picture so that when you are planning for them, they can understand the philosophy behind your planning. That is the only way you can be relevant to the development of the villages. Thank you very much.
Return to agriculture is a very good step in the right direction. Emphasis, in fact, should not be on export trade only, but also on the local trade too. There's local needs and requirements, which we know that is very important. If we are self-sufficient in food and raw materials to take care of our industries, what else are we looking for? No problem.
All right, thank you very much, Chief. Well, viewers, arising from this discussion is the fact that the resultant effects of rural migration is definitely alarming. And as it has been established here, it's probably a government problem to see that this is broken, but then it is our responsibility to understand and assist the government in breaking this trend. On that note, may I say goodbye.